If you ever find a cabin in the woods that has no path leading to it and no path leading away from it, turn around and run, because I did not, and I am the only person out of 6 who came back alive to tell you why nobody else did. It started as a normal trip. Me and 5 friends, Rahul, Meera, Vikram, Sanya and Arjun, decided to spend a long weekend away from the city, away from phones, away from noise. Vikram found the place online, an old wooden cabin deep in the forest. Cheap rent, no reviews, no photos except one blurry picture of a small house surrounded by tall, black trees. We should have known something was wrong when the owner never answered calls, only text messages, short, cold, and always sent late at night. But we were young, we were bored, and we wanted an adventure. So we packed our bags and drove 6 hours into the mountains until the roads turned to dirt, and the dirt turned to nothing at all. We had to walk the last 2 kilometers on foot because no car could go further, and the moment we stepped out of the vehicle, the air felt different, heavier, like it was pressing down on our chests. The forest was too quiet. No birds, no insects, no wind moving through the leaves. Just silence, the kind of silence that makes your own heartbeat sound too loud. We walked in a line, following a trail that seemed to appear only under our feet and vanish behind us. And after almost an hour, we saw it, the cabin, standing alone in a small clearing. Old wood, a crooked roof, and windows so dark they looked painted black. There was no road to it, no driveway, no sign that any vehicle had ever reached this place. Just the cabin, waiting. Meera was the first to say she wanted to leave, but Vikram laughed it off, said we were all just tired from the hike, and pushed open the front door. Inside, it smelled like old wood and something else underneath it, something sweet and rotten, like fruit, left out too long. The furniture was covered in white sheets, thick with dust, except for one chair by the fireplace that looked freshly used. No dust at all, like someone had been sitting there just moments before we arrived. We told ourselves it was nothing. We lit the fireplace, we ate our dinner, we laughed about horror movies, and joked that this felt like the beginning of one. None of us were laughing by midnight. Zanya said she saw someone standing outside her window, a tall figure, unmoving, just watching. We checked outside with flashlights and found nothing. No footprints, no broken branches, nothing but trees standing like silent witnesses. We told her it was the shadows playing tricks, the exhaustion, the unfamiliar place. We went to bed in our separate rooms, and that was our first mistake. Sometime after 2 in the morning, I woke up to a sound, a soft scratching, coming from inside the walls. Slow, deliberate, like fingernails dragging across wood. I told myself it was rats, but the sound moved. It traveled from one wall to another, following me as I sat up in bed, as if something was walking alongside me on the other side of the plaster, matching my every movement. I didn't sleep again that night. In the morning, Arjun was missing. His bed was empty. His shoes were still by the door, his phone still on the nightstand, but he was gone. We searched the cabin. We searched the clearing. We called his name until our throats went raw, but the forest swallowed our voices and gave nothing back. Vikram said, maybe he went for an early walk. Maybe he got lost. Maybe he would come back on his own. But none of us believed it. We just needed something to say. We spent the whole day searching, walking in circles that somehow never overlapped, finding the same broken tree 3 times from 3 different directions, as if the forest itself was folding around us, keeping us close, keeping us confused. By evening, Exhausted and terrified, we returned to the cabin because we had nowhere else to go. And that was when Mira noticed it, carved into the wooden post by the door. So old, the wood had darkened around the letters. A list of names. Dozens of names. Some faded, almost completely. Some fresh enough that the wood still looked pale where the knife had cut it. And at the very bottom, barely visible unless you looked closely, was Arjun's name, carved into the wood as if it had always been there, as if the cabin had known he was coming long before he ever arrived. We wanted to run right then, in the dark, through the forest, anywhere but that place. But Sanya reminded us that we didn't even know which direction led back to the car. We were trapped between an unknown forest at night and a cabin that had just proven it was not what it seemed. We chose to stay together in one room, all four of us, doors locked, lights on, waiting for morning. That was when we heard it. Footsteps on the roof, slow and heavy, walking from one end to the other, then stopping directly above us. Then silence. Then the sound of something being dragged, long and scraping, back and forth, until Rahul, shaking, whispered that we needed to stop listening and start praying. Around 4 in the morning, the scratching came again. But this time it was on our door. Not soft, not testing, but a slow, deliberate knock. 3 times. Then a pause, then 3 times again, in the exact same rhythm Arjun used whenever he knocked on any door. We froze. Mira whispered his name through the wood, asking if it was really him, and a voice answered. His voice, calm, familiar, asking us to let him in because it was cold outside. Vikram moved toward the door and I grabbed his arm and told him to look at the gap beneath it first. There was no shadow, no feet blocking the light from the hallway. Whatever was speaking with Arjun's voice was not standing there the way a person stands. The knocking continued for almost 20 minutes, sometimes pleading, sometimes angry, sometimes turning into a sound that was not quite crying and not quite laughing, until it simply stopped, and the silence after was worse than the noise had ever been. When the sun finally rose, we gathered every bit of courage we had left and opened the door. The hallway was empty, but scratched into the wood of our door, on the outside, was one more name, added to the growing list by the entrance. Rahul's name. He hadn't left the room all night. None of us had. We decided we would rather die trying to escape than wait to see who the forest would take next. So we packed nothing, took only water, and started walking in the direction we remembered the car being in. The forest fought us the entire way, the path twisting, familiar landmarks appearing in the wrong order, the sun seeming to move too fast across the sky, hours passing when it felt like only minutes had gone by. Rahul started falling behind, saying his legs felt heavy, saying he was tired in a way he had never felt before, like something was pulling the strength out of his body with every step. We tried to help him walk, but he grew heavier and heavier until Vikram and Sanya were nearly carrying him. And I remember looking back at one point and seeing that Rahul's eyes had changed. Not the color, but the way he looked at us. Empty, distant, like he was already somewhere else, even though his body was still moving beside us. When we stopped to rest by a stream, Rahul sat down against a tree and simply did not get back up. His breathing was fine. His pulse was fine. He was alive, but he would not respond, would not blink, would not move, just stared into the trees as if he was listening to something we could not hear. We tried everything, shaking him, shouting his name, splashing water on his face, but he remained frozen, and slowly his skin grew pale, then grayish. Then his lips moved without sound, forming words we could not understand. in a language that did not sound human at all. Vikram, terrified beyond reason, grabbed Sanya and me and said we had to leave him, that whatever was happening to Rahul was already finished, that staying would only mean losing more of us. It was the hardest decision of my life, but we ran, leaving our friend sitting against that tree, his eyes wide open, his mouth still moving. We ran until our legs gave out, until the trees thinned, until finally, unbelievably, we saw the dirt road where we had parked the car days before. Vikram reached it first. He turned back to check on us, smiling with relief for the first time in what felt like years. And that was the last time I saw him smile, because the ground beneath him simply was not there anymore. Not a hole, not a trap, just absence, as if that piece of the world had been erased, and he fell through it without a sound, without even a scream, gone before Sanya or I could reach him. Sanya screamed his name over and over into a gap in the earth that showed nothing below but darkness. No bottom, no echo, nothing. We didn't stop to understand it. We couldn't. We ran the rest of the way to the car, and somehow, impossibly, it started on the first try, and we drove without looking back, without speaking, tears streaming down both our faces, until the trees finally opened into a real road, a paved road, streetlights, civilization. We reported everything to the police. They searched for days. They found the cabin, but it was empty. No fireplace, no beds, no carved names, no sign that 4 missing people had ever set foot inside it. Just dust and cobwebs and silence, as if the cabin itself had erased every trace of what happened, waiting patiently for the next group of travelers who would ignore the warnings, the way we did. Sanya never fully recovered. She stopped speaking about that night after a while, and eventually stopped speaking about anything at all. I moved away, changed my number, tried to build a normal life. But some nights I still hear that same slow knock on my door. 3 times, then a pause, then 3 times again, in a rhythm too familiar to ignore. And some mornings I find myself staring at the doorframe, terrified that one day I will see a new name carved into the wood, and it will be mine. If you ever see a cabin like that one, standing alone with no path leading to it, remember what I told you. Remember that some places do not want visitors. They want collections. And once your name is carved into that wood, no amount of running will ever truly bring you home. If this story kept you up at night, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more, because there are darker stories waiting. And next time, I might not be the one who survives to tell them.